Hi, all you VIP kid teachers out there. I'm not going to lie, this is a second retake here because I still cannot say pre VIP kid and get that right. I kept saying it wrong and I was trying it in the video and I was going to just let it go and let you guys enjoy my laugh. But I said it so many times that it wasn't even worth you listening to. So still struggling with that term. But so I had a great morning this morning. I had a few pre VIP kid students. That is something new for me that I just got certified for. I received an email a couple weeks ago asking if I would be willing to slot into that, and so I'm in, and I have been getting some of those courses. And but today, on Wednesday, I decided I was going to close down some of my earlier morning hours, and I just worked. I just did 9 classes as opposed to yesterday's 14. So today felt like a much lighter day, a much smoother day. I did have 9 back to back, but they were very easy classes for me. I did have one. Well, I had one very challenging student, but I've had him before, and I've sent in some information to let them know there's some challenges there. But anyway, today, what I wanted to bring up to you was I had a range that was so broad. I had the pre VIP kids, 2 of them first, and then all of a sudden I come down to this very last student, and that's the one I wanted to tell you about today. She is one I have not had before, but she is a very high level speaker, understander. I mean, she's got great comprehension. She's got great speaking skills. She has great reading skills. A lot of what we honed in on was pronunciation because for Chinese people, the way they say some words, sounds, and letters is very different than the way we do. So I was trying to help her to fix those skills a little bit, and that's something I personally enjoy because I went through the same thing in the other direction when I was learning Chinese and having to try to learn how to say their sounds and the way they say it. So I completely feel their pain and I want to just help them with it. And I do know that for them, pronunciation is a big thing to down the road become a much clearer speaker. And so that's something I had enjoyed with this student, but I'd never had her before. She's brand new for me. Very excited when I saw the information on her from the other teachers that she is just an easy student, and I thought, okay, way to end my day. So I wanted to tell you about one thing that I found out today. Well, I mean, we all know it, but I heard it today. So after class, she shut down the camera, but the microphone stayed on until I exited the classroom, and I was working on my feedback. And I'm not going to lie. I always like to hear what the student says to the parent because most of the time the parent will say, "How was your class? Like, what was it?" If the parent is in the vicinity of the computer or the student, they will ask, or they will ask, "How was that teacher?" So today that question was asked. Both parents were there. I saw them going in and out of the room at different. She was in a common like living room area. Father was in the back, coming in and out of the kitchen. Mom was coming back and forth. So they were hearing the class and stopping and watching and moving on. So they were present. Class ends, camera down, microphone is on, and I hear, "So what do you think of that teacher?" They give their thoughts on the teacher, and then he says, "Well, what do you think about this teacher?" And she explains what she thinks about this teacher, and he says, "Which teacher do you like better?" And so she told which one she liked better and what she thought, and then he asked why, and then he said, "So do you want me to have this teacher for you or this teacher for you? We think this teacher. What do you think about this teacher?" I'm not saying names. I heard names. Just so you know, I heard names. But I also heard myself being evaluated. So there you go. There's that too. Interestingly enough, when they first asked her, "What do you think of this teacher?" she said, this made me laugh because it's part of Chinese culture. She said, she's thinner than the other teacher. And I thought it was funny because I am not thin. I'm actually on a diet trying to work on that because I am not thin. I am only 5'2", and so I carry it all right in the middle. I'm just a little potato, and so it was interesting that that was the first thing the girl thought, and the dad laughed and he was like, "No, I mean, do you like this teacher better than this teacher?" And so they started to name a few of the teachers that the student has had, and discussing back and forth. And I thought it was very funny because I felt like I was intruding on a personal family conversation. And yes, you will probably write back in the comments and tell me, "You terrible person, you know, make it so they can't hear, you can't hear them." And you're right, maybe. But it was fun to listen. And I think part of it is because I'm always thinking in my head about the Chinese. And so I was listening to their conversation. So I heard it while I was typing my feedback, and it gave me a giggle. But here's what I wanted to give as the little nugget of info for you. When they were talking about this, they were not talking about what it said in her bio, her video, her credentials. It was simply, which teacher do you like better and why? Now, this is a quiet student. So when I have a quiet student, then I stay here. When I have a high energy, high level, let's get this going, let's rocket teach, then I'm doing this with them. And if I have a very shy one, then I'm right down, how do I get my hands right there? I'm right down here. And I'm just trying to get to know them and make them feel comfortable. So we're working as teachers on gauging what we do based on the personality. And this particular girl was right here in the middle. She's Miss Middle Ground. She could perk a smile up, but she wasn't gonna, she wasn't gonna woot woot with me, and dance with me when her star went across the screen. She was just gonna smile and thank you. And I did know that she loved the Minicam. If I gave her a star, then I gave her a star inside my Minicam, and she loved the different stars. We were working on a different incentive, and I just, for fun, would put the stars up over the top of the screen, and she would say, "Oh, just give me another star. I want to see a different star." So now I have to go and search for more stars in case I ever have her again as a student. But my point is, they compare us. But when they compare us, guys, they compare us based on the student and what they liked. And so I think it's good for us to maybe back up from that and say, okay, I don't have to have this, doctorate in this and some certification and all of this, or I don't have to have the best video or the best bio. Those are things that are going to grab attention of the parents, and that's true. So I'm not discarding that. That is very true. But at the end of the day, guys, if you get a trial class, it's if they like you or not. Sometimes you get the trial class because the sales team gave it to you. Take it, man. Take it and make it be good. Gauge that student. Try to understand what would work for them. Really try to start reading them early on in the 25 minutes. Because with this student, at first I didn't know. And then all of a sudden I just did something unusual and threw something up on the screen, and it was like, and she came alive. And that's when all of a sudden I started to find out, like, she loved to see those things on the screen. She was excited. So they compare us. That's a fact, and that makes sense. If they're picking teachers for their students, they want one that the kid likes. They compare us. They never said anything bad today. Just so you know, nothing bad was said about any teacher in the time that I listened. The only thing I heard was a comparison of why this teacher works better for me than this teacher from a student. And what I got out of it was this. This teacher was academic, and this teacher was both. This teacher was all business. This teacher had some fun with me, and she did business. Now, the dad said, I heard the teacher correcting your translation, your pronunciation. I heard the dad say that. And she said, yes. And he said, your teacher said you need to work on that. And she said, yes, I do. So just so you know, it wasn't all about a party with her, because this student, there was no way that if I was doing this business with her, this wasn't going to do anything for her. She was just going to be like this, like, lady, get away. So that's my thought for today. Whatever you got going on with your bio and your education and your pictures and your everything that you're going to grab teachers with, it really, some of those kids are going to come into your screen that doesn't play into it when you get those trial classes. So nail them. Honestly, nail them. Enjoy the student, read the student, reinforce with the student, and if you can connect in some way with the parents, that would be great too, but that doesn't always happen. But I would say the very first thing is just really try to nail that class and try to connect with that child and understand where that level of energy needs to be able to not blow them out of the water, but not bore the daylights out of them. Trust me, I've bored the daylights out of many of them. I know this. So I'm trying to learn how to do my gauging. And I thought it was a good thing to just share, because it's what I heard this morning that was going on in the background of a little family over there in Beijing. Have a good day.